Writing. The smell of fresh bread was the last thing Owen Mercer expected to save his life. Just 3 months earlier, he had been standing in the polished lobby of a billion-dollar company carrying a cardboard box filled with the remains of 15 years of loyal service. The security badge hanging around his neck no longer opened any doors, and the office where he had sacrificed birthdays, weekends, and precious moments with his daughter was suddenly closed to him forever. The CEO who had built his reputation on ruthless efficiency had dismissed him with a cold signature and a brief announcement about restructuring, never once looking into the eyes of the man whose entire world was collapsing. Owen walked away that day believing he had lost everything, never imagining that one quiet morning inside an old forgotten bakery, fate would bring that same CEO back into his life in the most unexpected way. Before we continue this emotional journey, if you believe kindness always finds its way back and that second chances can change lives, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Dust and Destiny so you never miss stories that remind us humanity still exists. The days after losing his job were darker than Owen had ever imagined. As a single father raising his 8-year-old daughter Nora alone after his wife passed away from illness years earlier, every dollar mattered. The apartment became quieter as unpaid bills piled up on the kitchen table. Owen stopped buying coffee on the way home, skipped meals so Nora would never notice there was less food, and spent sleepless nights searching endlessly for jobs that either paid too little or never responded at all. Every rejection email felt like another reminder that experience meant very little when companies wanted younger workers willing to accept smaller salaries. Still, every morning he smiled for Nora, packed her lunch with whatever remained in the refrigerator, walked her to school, and promised that everything would somehow be okay, even when he no longer believed those words himself. One afternoon, while walking through an older part of town after another unsuccessful interview, Owen noticed a weathered brick building with faded paint and dusty windows. Above the entrance hung a crooked wooden sign that simply read, "Harper's Bakery." A handwritten notice announced that the property and equipment were for sale after the owner's retirement. Most people hurried past without giving it a second glance, but Owen stood still. As a teenager, he had worked weekends in his grandfather's neighborhood bakery before life had pushed him toward the corporate world. The forgotten scent of warm bread and cinnamon suddenly returned to his memory, bringing with it a feeling he had not experienced in years: peace. The elderly owner welcomed him inside with tired but gentle eyes. Dust covered the shelves, and the ovens had not been used for weeks, yet the building still carried a quiet warmth that refused to disappear. The owner explained that he wanted someone who loved honest work more than profit. He admitted the bakery needed repairs, fresh recipes, and someone willing to start over. Owen laughed softly because starting over was exactly what his life demanded. He gathered every remaining dollar from his savings, sold his expensive watch, borrowed a small amount from a trusted friend, and signed the papers. Many people believed he had made a terrible mistake. They said bakeries failed every day, especially old ones hidden on forgotten streets. Owen listened politely but kept cleaning the dusty floors with determination. The first weeks tested every ounce of strength he possessed. He woke before sunrise each morning, kneaded dough until his arms ached, painted walls after closing, repaired broken shelves himself, and learned new baking techniques by reading old notebooks his grandfather had once left behind. Nora became his greatest helper. She arranged pastries in the display case, wrote cheerful messages on the sidewalk chalkboard, and greeted every customer with the brightest smile imaginable. The bakery slowly transformed from a neglected building into a place that felt alive again. Fresh bread drifted through the neighborhood each dawn, drawing curious strangers who had almost forgotten the bakery even existed. Business remained painfully slow in the beginning. Some afternoons only 3 customers entered the shop, and Owen wondered whether everyone had been right. He quietly counted coins before paying utility bills and questioned whether he had placed his daughter into an even more uncertain future. Yet every evening, as he watched Nora proudly sweep the floor while humming softly to herself, he remembered why quitting was no longer an option. Failure would not simply disappoint him, it would steal the hope growing inside the little girl who believed her father could accomplish anything. Then something unexpected happened. An elderly woman shared a photo of the bakery online after tasting one of Owen's cinnamon loaves. A local teacher posted about the welcoming atmosphere where students received free cookies after school if they completed their homework. Parents appreciated the kindness. Neighbors began stopping by simply to chat. Travelers passing through town searched for the little bakery they had read about. Without expensive advertising, Harper's Bakery slowly became known as the place where people found more than bread. They found comfort. Owen refused to throw away unsold pastries each evening. Instead, he quietly delivered them to the nearby homeless shelter before returning home. He never photographed those moments or spoke about them online because kindness, he believed, became smaller the moment it demanded applause. Nora often accompanied him, learning that generosity was measured not by wealth but by willingness. Their simple routine spread quietly throughout the community. Volunteers started helping at the shelter, local farmers donated fresh ingredients, and nearby businesses supported one another in ways they never had before. Nearly a year after opening, the bakery looked completely different. Fresh flowers decorated the windows, laughter filled the dining area each morning, and customers often waited outside before sunrise. Owen had hired 2 young employees struggling to find work, remembering exactly how hopeless unemployment had once felt. Life was still modest, but for the first time in years, the future no longer frightened him. Everything changed again on an ordinary Tuesday morning. Rain tapped gently against the windows as customers enjoyed warm coffee. The front door opened quietly, and a man wearing an expensive tailored coat stepped inside. Owen looked up from the counter, froze completely, and instantly recognized the face he had spent months trying to forget. It was Victor Holden, the CEO whose signature had ended his career. Time seemed to slow. Victor looked older than Owen remembered. The confidence that once surrounded him had faded, replaced by exhaustion hidden behind careful posture. He studied the bakery with genuine surprise before noticing Owen behind the counter. Their eyes met, and for a brief moment neither man moved. Customers continued eating, unaware they were witnessing 2 very different lives colliding under one small roof. Victor ordered a simple cup of coffee and a loaf of sourdough bread. Owen served him politely, without bitterness, despite the storm of memories racing through his mind. Months earlier he had imagined countless speeches if they ever met again, yet none of them seemed important anymore. He had discovered something far greater than revenge. He had discovered purpose. As Victor quietly sat near the window, he watched families laugh together, elderly neighbors share breakfast, and children wave excitedly at Nora behind the counter. The bakery possessed something his luxurious executive offices had never managed to create. It felt like home. When Victor finally approached the counter again, emotion appeared in his eyes. He admitted that shortly after firing hundreds of employees during aggressive restructuring, the company's profits initially rose but public trust collapsed. Loyal clients left. Investors demanded impossible results. Eventually, the board removed him as CEO. Overnight he experienced the same loneliness and uncertainty that thousands of former employees, including Owen, had endured because of decisions made inside polished conference rooms. Owen listened quietly. He noticed not the powerful executive from the past but another human being carrying invisible burdens. The pain looked different, yet it remained pain. Victor glanced around the bakery once more and confessed that he had come into town searching for peace after months of regret. He never expected to find the man whose life he had altered forever. He admitted he remembered Owen's personnel file because every performance review described him as dependable, compassionate, and deeply respected. Yet when layoffs arrived, numbers mattered more than people. Looking at the bakery, Victor realized the greatest mistake of his career had not been financial. It had been forgetting that every employee returned home to a family, a dream, and a future. Owen did not celebrate hearing those words. Instead, he looked toward Nora, who was helping an elderly customer carry fresh bread to her table. He realized losing his corporate job had guided him toward a life he never would have chosen voluntarily but now could never imagine leaving behind. Sometimes what feels like destruction quietly becomes the foundation of something extraordinary. Over the following weeks Victor returned regularly. Not as a wealthy executive demanding attention but as a customer who swept floors after closing, helped repair old furniture, and quietly donated baking equipment without requesting recognition. He even began volunteering at the homeless shelter alongside Owen and Nora, discovering that fulfillment could never be measured through quarterly earnings. News of the remarkable reunion spread throughout the town after a local journalist shared the bakery story. People were inspired not because a successful business had been created but because forgiveness had defeated resentment. Customers traveled from neighboring cities simply to experience the bakery whose owner chose compassion over revenge. Sales increased, yet Owen continued offering free bread to families facing hardship because he never forgot the hunger of uncertain days. One crisp autumn afternoon, the bakery celebrated its second anniversary. Children painted pumpkins outside while neighbors filled the street with music and laughter. Looking around at the joyful crowd, Owen realized the building had become much more than a bakery. It had become proof that broken dreams sometimes lead us exactly where we are meant to be. If this story has touched your heart so far, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to Dust and Destiny. Your support helps keep stories of hope, kindness, and second chances alive for people all around the world. Special request: before this story ends, please comment, "Kindness always comes back," if you believe one act of compassion can change someone's entire life. As the evening sun painted golden light across the bakery windows, Owen watched Nora laugh while handing fresh cookies to neighborhood children. He no longer measured success by promotions, expensive suits, or impressive office buildings. Success was seeing his daughter grow up surrounded by love instead of fear. Success was knowing hungry families would eat because one small bakery refused to waste food. Success was welcoming even the man who had once taken everything from him and proving that forgiveness builds stronger foundations than revenge ever could. Sometimes destiny hides inside our greatest losses, patiently waiting for the moment we are brave enough to begin again. And sometimes, the sweetest bread is baked from the flour of broken dreams, reminding us that every ending carries within it the quiet promise of a beautiful new beginning.